Hey guys, Marsingin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so the EZA for STR Ultimate Gohan is going to come out on both versions of the game very soon. I think when this video goes up, the event comes out in like 9 hours or 9.5 hours, something like that. So there is no entry on the wiki for it or any of the full details. At time of recording, a lot of that stuff we don't find out until the last minute. So obviously when I make these guides for global, we often have the benefit of knowing what all the details of the event because it already came out on JP, whereas obviously this is both coming out at the same time. So the things that we do know is that the weakness category for this EZA is Majin Buu Saga. What we don't know is what the restrictions are going to be, right? Because obviously most EZAs, once you get to stage 20, a certain typing of units start doing way less damage. But the thing with this is, a lot of the time, if the EZA is for a super unit, like it is this time, a lot of super types will get blocked out because it wants you to use extreme, right? So say, for example, for this Gohan, he's super STR. They might say that like super tech and super int, for example, do minus 80% damage. But the problem with that is when you scroll down and you see just how bare bones the extreme side of the Majin Buu Saga category actually is. So I don't personally think they are going to massively limit the super types. The only thing I think they will do is, of course, do the limitation for physical type. So in this video, we won't be going over any physical type units. Obviously, with all my team building guides, I go over my top picks and honourable mentions. If there's any units you think I miss out or that I should have talked about in more detail, let me know down below in the comment section. And if you find the guide helpful at all, then do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, as I said, we're not going to talk about really any physical units. Obviously, this Goku, still one of the best TURs in the game. If they don't give physical a big damage reduction, then obviously he'll be really, really good. TN is a support for super type Majin Buu Saga units, so he could still be good on the team. He's just obviously not going to do any damage. Same with this guy. I mean, this guy only supports physical, right? So if they're nerfing physical, there's no point bringing him. So yeah, physical, obviously physical, if extreme physical is still okay to be used. We have Kid Buu for support, and obviously LR Bootanks, who would still be very good. But we're going to proceed with the rest of this guide, assuming that physical units are not really able to be used. So starting off with the leader, I feel like this is the guy they really want you to use, right? Kid Buu, because he's got the 170 lead for Majin Buu Saga, and he is an absolute unit. This guy is an absolute beast, and because he's fighting a Majin Buu Saga enemy, he can use his active skill straight away on turn 1. So in this EZA, right from turn 1, STR Kid Buu is going to be really, really strong. So if you have him, you absolutely want to be bringing him. Even if you're not using him as the leader, like, you definitely want to be bringing Kid Buu if you have him. He is actually crazy. In fact, he nullifies unarmed super attacks. What is Gohan's super attack? The Burst Rush Extreme. It doesn't actually say like which one it is, so I don't know if actually he can nullify Gohan's super attacks. It's not a Ki Blast one, but he actually might even be able to nullify Gohan's super attacks, which would make him even better. But yeah, Kid Buu, absolute monster. And covers the whole category with his leader skill, so very, very good. Obviously, the next option that you could use is the Int Majin Vegeta. Obviously, he has Majin Buu Saga 170 across the board, right? So his leader skill for Majin Buu Saga is actually better than Kid Buu because it's 170 to all stats. So he is actually a really good lead. Even if you're not going to run a lot of the units that get the benefit of his 200% leader skill, his general Majin Buu Saga leader skill is better. And there are some units that we're going to talk about in this guide, including himself obviously, who would be benefiting from the 200% leader skill. So would definitely be very, very good. Like if you bring a Trunks on the team, this guy obviously is super, super good defensively. So very good for an EZA. Very good after super attacking. He's just going to be a very, very strong option. If you have him, 100% you should be running him as the leader, because like I said, even if you don't want to take full advantage of the 200% buff to other units on the team, he has the 170 to all 3 stats, and then obviously he's getting the 200% buff. So definitely the best leader to bring for this event. And then, of course, next up we have the LR, Goku, and Vegeta that fuse into Vegito. Their Majin Buu Saga leader skill is obviously decent as well. Again, we don't know whether they'll nerf super typings, like it could be super STR type, does less damage in this EZA, even though, like I said, I do feel like that's unlikely. So these guys will still be good for their leader skill. And then, of course, one of the great things for an EZA where you can't use items is once you get to turn 4, if you've lost enough HP, which is very easy with this restriction, right? You can then fuse into Vegito, get a nice little heal, get the Scouter effect, and then have the counters against normal attacks. So maybe in the later stages is when you'll see the potential to actually get to turn 4, and then this guy can bring you a heal, come out and just start countering and basically just finish off the run on that turn. So definitely very, very good. So next up we have LR Majin Vegeta. Of course, being an extreme AGL unit, he is one of the perfect units to bring in this event. He's under the 200% leader skill with the Int Majin Vegeta, so he will be just absolutely running wild. Even if you use him just under a 170 team lead, he's obviously still very, very good. And in this event specifically, he is just going to be very, very powerful because you don't need to go for as much key as possible. His most powerful single target super attack is actually his 12 key, so very easy to get that off consistently, and he's going to be able to do a ton of damage. I wouldn't be surprised if you're bringing the double Majin Vegeta like 200% leads. He potentially one-shots Gohan for like the first couple of phases. So he absolutely is a very, very strong unit to bring in this particular event. So next up we have the LR Goten and Trunks. So again, any super units that we mention in the guide, there is the kind of asterisk next to them that they might be affected by the damage reduction once we find out the full details. But if they're not, then obviously these guys are going to be absolutely insane. Like they just recently EZA'd on Global, so these guys will be very, very powerful. They are under the 200% leader skill as well, so they are able to do a lot for you. Obviously with their additionals, you have the 50% chance they get a defense raise, or 50% chance they get a defense nerf. But because they have type advantage, they should still be pretty good, even if they do get that Skinny Gotenks additional super. And then remember, it still is an additional super, so they are still going to be doing a nice chunk of extra damage. With that little bit of randomness built in, obviously if Super AGL is getting a damage nerf, then these guys aren't really like a super strong enough defensive unit that you would bring them regardless of the fact that they're not doing any damage. But as long as their damage isn't nerfed, they'll be a very strong option as well. Then we have this guy. I thought I'd throw him in kind of just as a nod to the few people out there who do have him, because pre-EZA he's obviously not very good. He could probably get slapped up, especially in the later stages. Post-EZA, he's still not like the craziest unit in the world or anything, but he definitely is a lot better. The healing per orb is obviously very helpful, again, because you can't heal. So he could be alright to bring on the team as a floating unit that's just kind of there to be a medic. But I know most people don't really have him, but I thought I'd throw him in there anyway. Then we have this Super Saiyan 2 Angel Goku. He's an orb changer, gives you a ton of healing. So again, he's really, really good, especially if your team is a little bit on the weaker side and you're finding the later stages a bit more difficult. This guy can be really helpful, even if AGL units, or Super AGL units, I should say, are getting a damage nerf. He would still be very good, because as long as you pick up enough orbs, his defense will be fine, and then he's going to be giving you a ton of healing. So he can be very, very useful on the team. Plus, obviously, he's a Goku, so he's going to link up well with the other Saiyan units anyway. Then we have this Goten. This Goten is under the 200% leader skill, so obviously if Super AGL units aren't getting nerfed, this guy can put out an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage, as well as having very good defense and damage reduction if there's a Trunks on the same turn, or Krillin or 18 on the team in general, which we will cover. I don't know if I brought her page up, but there's the STR Android 18 who would be very good to run on the team as support if you are going to run this Goten. So he's going to be able to put out a ton of damage as long as the super types are not nerfed. Then we have AGL Super Vegito. I thought I'd throw this guy in here as kind of like a callback. He's a much older unit. He's not really on banners anymore, but obviously against an STR type, as long as he's not being hit with a super, like, he can just dish out a ton of extra free damage for you with counters, so he can be very useful. Obviously, when you're below 40% HP, you can see enemy super attacks, so not very common, but obviously a little bit helpful as well. If you are getting to the end of the run on a harder, later stage, that could actually be something that comes in clutch and saves you, so he's definitely worth considering if super types aren't getting a nerf. If they are, though, whilst he does tank normal attacks for double digits, if he's getting nerfed so his counters are just doing like no damage, then there's probably not much point in bringing him, to be perfectly honest. So then we have this Super Saiyan 2 EZA Goku. He gives all allies ki and 30% attack. He also gives Super Saiyan 2 allies defense. So if you are running a bunch of the Majin Vegetas that count as Super Saiyan 2s, then obviously he can be very useful for that. He's more about damage than the physical version, who's more about defense. So again, if Super AGL types are getting nerfed, he's probably not really worth bringing, even though he is providing a little bit of support. But he can be pretty solid overall, just simply for the fact that he's an AGL type and he's got like the EZA stats and everything. But if he's getting damage nerfed, there's probably not that much point bringing him along. So next up we have this Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. So this Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta got his EZA quite a while ago. Obviously he is on the 200% lead as well. And he is a very, very strong defensive unit. So if your team is lacking a little bit, even if Super AGL types are getting nerfed for damage, this guy is going to be a really, really good defensive option. So he's worth bringing along on that team just for some extra tanking. So then we have this guy. So this Majin Buu Piccolo Absorbed will be really, really good in this run. He recovers 15% HP at the start of the turn. He gives buffs to power absorption allies. So depending on which other potential Buu units you're bringing, he can be supporting them. And then he does have a medium chance to dodge. So if you get good RNG, he can dodge a whole bunch of attacks. But he's probably not going to be taking that much damage, even if he doesn't dodge anyway, because he's got type advantage. He's on the category. So this guy probably is like a must run. Kid Buu, of course, is not on power absorption, so he doesn't support him. But they do share some links. So especially if you are running Kid Buu on the team, I would say this guy is an absolute like must bring. Probably, to be honest, even if you're not running any other power absorption units at all, he's probably still a really great unit to bring just because he's extreme AGL. He can get the dodges, he can heal you at the start of the turn. So very, very good. Next up we have Spopovich and Yamu. Obviously they're not great. They're a free-to-play unit with an EZA. They are decent. They recover HP on super. Once they get fully built up, they are actually pretty good. They have to receive a bunch of attacks, and their attack builds up with each attack they perform, which doesn't have a cap. So they can do some alright damage and have some alright defense. Takes a while to get there, but obviously they are a solid free-to-play option. The only problem is, when you look at these links, they're not going to link up particularly well with most of the rest of the team. So free-to-play option can be okay, but obviously not the best. Next up we have this Tech Buff Buu, or Majin Buu South Supreme Kai Absorbed. Is he a fantastic unit? Not really. He's pretty decent, especially after super attacking, but he's one of Kid Buu's best linking partners. So if you are running Kid Buu, it's probably good to just bring this guy anyway and just have Kid Buu in slot 1, this guy in slot 2. Kid Buu can use his active skill on turn 1, so he's a bit more sturdy in slot 1, and then that rotation is just going to be very, very good. He has 20% damage reduction at the start when your HP is 80% or more. He recovers HP at the end of the turn if you get hit. So remember, all the Buu units can be really, really helpful when running an EZA, because they have so many different ways they can heal you, which in an event where you can't use items is obviously very, very powerful. So then we have the Tech Gohan. Gotta mention Tech Gohan. If super types get a damage nerf, he's still going to be really good defensively. You can make like a full Hybrid Saiyans Majin Buu Saga team. So if you really are lacking with some of the other leaders, then you could run a double Tech Gohan team. The only problem, of course, is going to be if super types are getting massively nerfed. Most of the hybrids are, of course, super types, so going to be pretty difficult. But otherwise, he is a cornerstone unit. He's always good in pretty much any event, so obviously he kind of makes the list as a mention. Then we have the Tech Vegito that recently EZA'd on Global, has been EZA'd for a while on JP. He can definitely be very good, especially once he gets built up, providing that nice bit of extra support, especially if you do get him in slot 1 and get him to super attack first. He provides a whole lot of support for the rest of the rotation, so very, very good. Then we have this Supreme Kai and Kibito. So they're an interesting option. They greatly raise defense on their super attack. They have a built-in chance to dodge. They recover HP at the end of the turn. So I think they can be very, very useful. They can fuse straight away, but I think in an easy A that's kind of pointless because they can't stun. They still recover HP. They have slightly higher stats, but they don't have the dodge. They can't stun. They greatly raise attack and defense on super, but they can't seal in the later stages of an easy A. So probably the pre-fused version is better. Again, like the Spapovich and Yamu, their links aren't the best if you're bringing a bunch of Saiyans, but they do give themselves some key, so that does help them out a little bit. So they can be a worthwhile addition, definitely an honourable mention. Then we have Hercule. Good old Hercule. This unit's really old now, but very good with the defense. He has a medium chance to stun, medium high chance to dodge. Obviously the stun chance not important in an easy A apart from the first, is it 5 turns? High chance to dodge, and then he has damage reduction. The less HP you have, the more damage reduction he gets, so obviously very, very good. When you get down to being on really low health, he will tank basically everything for double digit damage, so definitely very, very good. Worthwhile addition. Again, suffers from the link issue, but can be a solid honourable mention. Then we have the Dokkan Fest Videl. So remember, she is on the banner currently out for Golden Week. So you might have only just picked up your first copies of her. If you are running her alongside like the Tech Gohan, then she gets her unit super attack. She has can dodge in slot 1, gets like a guaranteed additional super attack. Like she can actually be really good. She's kind of dropped off out of discussion just because she's on like not really any teams, or the teams that she is on don't get buffs, or she's on Majin Buu Saga, which is stacked with insanely good characters. So she definitely is an honourable mention. She could be very good in this event. It's just the fact that Majin Buu Saga is such a powerful team, you probably don't really have a lot of space for her. So then we have this high school Gohan. He's just a really, really good tank who is also a good support unit. He's from the World Tournament. So even if super STR types are being nerfed and he's not doing a lot of damage, he's worth bringing on the team just for the defense and the support, for making everyone else look better. Although remember, he does support super class, so if you are bringing a mostly extreme team, probably not really worth bringing him. And then last but not least, as an honourable mention, the 18. I did bring up her page, so we mentioned her briefly. She's got decent defense. She can crit, she has damage reduction and gives support when there is a Trunks, Goten or Krillin on the team. So you can run that AGL Goten and her on the team, and they don't have to be on rotation together, but they will be getting all these extra buffs. So obviously if you are going to run the Goten, if you're running the 200% leader skill with Vegeta, you probably want to bring a Trunks anyway, but you can bring her along to be the unit that helps to support him. So, yeah, Majin Buu Saga has a lot of options. I didn't cover any JP-only units, but obviously remember this Easy A is coming out on JP as well. So, if Super Tech is not being nerfed, these guys could be pretty decent. Pan from the recent World Tournament is an AGL unit, but again, it all depends on whether Super type units are getting nerfed. There aren't any extreme units that are worth considering bringing that are only on JP. So, this Easy A shouldn't be too different between the two versions. So let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said, if there's any units you think I missed out or should have talked about more, mention them down below and we can continue the discussion in the comments section. And let me know what team you guys are planning to use. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.